Alright, what's up guys? This is Mike. About to do the install on the brake system. I'm here at my brother's house. That's him right there. And that's his Jeep over there. It's a 2005 TJ Wrangler Willie model. We're going to be doing some upgrades on his later down the road too. So for right now, let's get started. First step is remove the tires. So we'll go ahead and do that and then go. Alright guys, we take the tire off already. Next step is to take the caliper off. You're going to need a 1/2 inch ratchet to take it off. So pretty much, if you look on this side here, it's 2 bolts, right? Yeah. Two bolts, one on top, one on the bottom. Should take it off pretty smooth. Sometimes they have little dust boots on them, but all you gotta do is use some channel locks to take them off. So after you take it off, it should easily come off. If not, just play with it a little bit. Or sometimes it says instructions you can use a mallet to take it off. Just be careful not to damage anything. But I think it should slide off here. We're gonna try it real quick, see how that goes, and see if it'll come off easily. There it goes. It's off. You want to make sure you hold the caliper, make sure it doesn't come off, and you slide off the rotor just like that. Easy peasy. You see this rotor is kind of old. I don't know. It says instructions what it could, if it's worn out, that you need to be replaced. I don't know what kind of inches, but it has some kind of specs you have to go by. But anyways, so rotor's off. Next step is to put the new rotor on.
New rotor in. We're gonna put the new rotor in. Then we're gonna squeeze the caliper down with the clamp, and then we'll put the brake pads on it and bolt it all back up.
Alright, so let's go ahead and put this new rotor up in and go from there. Alright guys, so here's one important step that they forgot to put in the manual. It says to clamp down this, what is it called?
The
Caliper with the pad in, so you'll be able to put it on the caliper onto the rotor. But we found out that our clamp was too small. So what we did, we took the pad off and then put the clamp on, and then just
push the piston
in of the caliper in, and that took care of the problem. Now we'll be able to put the pads back on, put the caliper back on the rotor. We'll be good to go. So don't do it with the pad on. It doesn't make sense to do it that way. Just take the pad off and then squeeze it with the clamp.
If you do it with the clamp on with the pad on, there's a chance you might damage the pad.
Right. So just do it this way. It's a better way of doing it. Seems easier too. So just gonna let you guys know about that. All right. Let's continue putting the pads on. Again, just clips on to the caliper, and that should be it. So let's move on. Alright, so the last step here, what we did was, Alex, you want to explain?
Yes, we installed the rotor, and we installed the caliper back on. We tightened the 2 bolts in the back that hold the caliper in place, and now all we have to do is put the tire back on, and we're good to go.
So what was the step we had to do to put this caliper back on? We had to make sure we had to put these...
make sure that it's in the groove down here. You see the way the brake pad has a little shape. It's like a little groove in there, and you gotta make sure it falls in place. If not, then it's not gonna sit correctly, and you'll have some problems if you drive it like that.
And in the back here, there's a little where the boots are. Sometimes this caliper won't fit right. You have to pop those in outward.
The dust shields. You gotta pull them out and pop it into
the rotor, and then it should go in there perfect. Just make sure you pop them out, and then put it on there, and then put the your bolts in there, and then they're starting to tighten down. You might think it's kind of loose when it's on there. It's because when we push the piston back on the caliper, it made it loose. Just going back in your cab and just push the brakes when your ignition is on, and it should tighten it back down, and you should be good to go on that part. So I'm not gonna show you a video on all 4 of them because obviously they're almost the same. So I'm gonna leave it there. Next install down the road, it's gonna be my brother's Skyjacker 4-inch lift install. So y'all guys keep tuned to that, and we'll get that on YouTube soon. Alright guys, we'll see y'all later. Alright guys, so I'm back from my brother's house. The rear brakes were almost the same. It just came with some clips that you had to put in. Make sure also when you're doing the rear brakes, we noticed that the caliper was a little bit tighter on the rotor. It's because I had engaged the emergency brakes, and that made it tighter. So if you're gonna do the calipers in the back and the pads and all that stuff, swap them out. Make sure you not have the emergency brake on, because it'll make it even harder to take them off. So just keep that in mind. So as soon as we did engage, took the emergency brake off, the caliper came off just like the front one. It was real easy. Took the caliper off, 2 bolts in the back, and then pretty much took the pads off, put the new pads on. Make sure they go on the right side. Try to compare them, the old ones to the new ones. Make sure that, because they are for each side of the vehicle. So just make sure you put them on the right side. So again, it came on, the rotor came off. You put the rotor back on, put the caliper back on, bolt it on. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I really didn't need to do the back because it was just like the front one, like I did earlier. So it was real easy. Okay, it took us about maybe an hour and a half. You know, because me and my brother was talking for a little bit. So it should take about an hour and a half to do it all. Now, an important step is obviously breaking in the brakes. And like I said earlier on my first video, make sure you follow these steps here, the breaking in steps. I think the first, when you pull out or you're driving on the highway, accelerate to 40 miles an hour, and then slow down to 10 miles. Make sure you do this about 5 times. I know it's kind of hard to find a place to do that, so we just drove down the highway. Slowed down 10 miles, and then pulled into another street, like a residential street, and then we did it again. And we did that about 5 times, and then it's after that, do it for 35 miles, and then slow down to 5 miles an hour 5 times. So we did that, and then it's after that, make sure you drive around for about 5 minutes so you can cool down the brakes. But that's pretty much it. I mean, we did all the steps, and now I'm driving the Jeep right now. I drove it home, and to me it was way better, a little bit better than stock, but it performed what I expected it was going to perform. So I do give it 2 thumbs up on that. But if anything does happen down the road, guys, I'll share with you guys. But for right now, that's pretty much it with this install. If you guys have any questions or posts, just leave them down below, and I'll answer them the best I can. So yeah, so I'll see you guys around.